Productions, and they do some wonderful concerts every year. Jamie works with New Ballet Ensemble, and she does a bunch of other stuff too. She did a show last night with the group. So we have three professional dancers today. The name of the piece that we're doing is called You're Not Alone. So enjoy dancing in December.
You're not alone, you know? None of us are. But sometimes it feels like it. The world, stuff, gets so heavy, like it's bearing down, like it wants to crush you, like it's just too damn heavy. Like every step is a struggle. Like you're slogging through mud with roots growing all through it. Like, where's the sun? It's gotta be there somewhere. Like you wanna crawl right back into your mama's belly and hide there. Safe and warm and cozy and loved and safe and safe and safe. And you're not alone, you know? None of us are. You want to scream, nobody knows what I'm going through. Nobody has to. See, you have a purpose. Yes, you know what it is. You always know. The trick is being okay with what you know, trusting that every step you take is the right step. And the good news is, the universe is conspiring on your behalf. The universe is conspiring on your behalf. The universe is conspiring on your behalf. And you didn't come here alone. Now look around you. Look right, look left, look up, look down. If you don't see something that's breathing, that's okay. They leave their evidence all around you. The shoes on your feet, somebody made them. The room that encloses you, somebody built it. Even if you're lying butt naked outside on a grassy knoll somewhere in Timbuktu, miles away from anyone or anything that you recognize, with nothing to keep you company but the breeze. The breeze. And that one fire ant that you forgot about until it's on your big toe are there with you. And miles away from where you thought you were all alone, somebody is breathing the same air that you are. The same air. The same air. It's what connects us all to the one. You're really not alone, you know? None of us are.
We are in that season where you've heard us talk a lot about light and darkness. Because the fact is that we can't know light without darkness. Am I right about it? How would you know light unless you also know darkness? How would you know light unless you already also know darkness? There was a young boy who was sick. He decided to go and tell his mother that he was too sick to go to school. He wanted to stay home. His mother checked felt his head. He did feel warm, like he had a fever. She looked at him, she noticed that he was sweating, that his throat was sore, that he was coughing, that he was very ill. All of these things were going on with him. And so she said, well, you can stay home. He went to bed. She suggested he read something, but he had already decided that there was something else that he wanted to read. And it was Ralph Waldo Emerson that he read. And there was a passage that he read in particular that struck him, that said, "A man should learn to detect and watch that gleam of light which flashes across the mind from within, more than the luster of the firmament of bards and sages. Yet he dismisses without notice his thought, because it is his. In every work of genius, we recognize our own rejected thoughts. They come back to us with a certain alienated majesty." And the story goes that the young man read this passage again. And as he did, he began to understand that deep within him, that flash of light that Emerson was writing about was within him. And not only was that light within him, but that light could do something for him. And as he concentrated and he focused on that light, he began to feel better. And as he felt better, he continued on that journey to understand that light. And that was just the beginning of it. And he went to his mother after that point of recognizing and realizing that. And his mother felt his head, and he no longer was hot, no longer had a fever. His sore throat was gone. His congestion was gone. All of that was gone almost in that instant. And that teenager, that young boy named Ernest Holmes, continued on the journey to discover more and more about that light. And the teaching that we at Open Heart share today was a result of that incident, of that there. But it goes deeper than that, because you see, the thing of it is that this Christmas and this celebration that many of us are engaging in, and not the commercial side of it, not all of the stuff that people feel like that they have to buy, but actually the real time that we celebrate and that we embrace the light, but more importantly, where we tell that story that many of us are familiar with. And the thing of it is to put it in context, that the people of Israel found themselves in bondage. And while they were in bondage, there was a cry that they collectively put out looking for some type of help, something to take them from where they were. And so the story goes on to talk about how in the midst of the struggle that they found themselves in, help indeed came. And that help came in the form of light. If you think about it, you think about the stories and the song we even sang today, "It Came Upon a Midnight Clear." Talking about darkness, and as we talked about last week, many of you know city darkness, but some of us know country darkness. And country darkness is different from city darkness. Country darkness is, as they would say, show enough darkness. And in the midst of that, they hear something that lets them know that their time of struggle was coming to an end. And it was being directed by and guided by light. And so they found themselves being guided to a place, and if you consider the traditional Christmas story where we talk about that was there in Bethlehem in a manger, and it's really important to understand that when you think about the fact of the manger being a lowly place, and we have the songs and the hymns that we sing about that, and the understanding is that even in the least expected place, in the lowest place, there still is hope, there still is light that can be found. And so the struggle that they found themselves going through, the word that came to them was, your struggles cannot be over. And as I thought about that, as I reflected on that, I'm aware that oftentimes again in our teaching, we oftentimes, sort of neglect the idea of struggle, and we jump immediately to, going this place, but then people get stuck there oftentimes, and they don't get pulled along. So today, what I want us to do is to celebrate the fact that we embrace the darkness, that we understand that in our lives sometimes don't necessarily go exactly the way we wish them to. And not to get stuck there, not to stop off there, but understand that rather than staying there, we're moving through something to something brighter, to something new. And I remember when I was back in the traditional church and I would say this, and I kept waiting for them to kick me out. Herbert was going to kick me out over there, but he never did. That if the Christmas story is not about you, it doesn't have the same meaning. If it's not about you. And what I mean by that, if it doesn't help you to celebrate the fact that within you is the essence of God, the essence of spirit. We talk about the story being, Christ born this day, but the Christ presence being born in you. If it's not about that being born in you, it doesn't have the same meaning. The fact of the matter is, to say that it's born in you, it's not some type of semantic exercise or anything like that, but it's about the truth of who we are. And that light that is there, that light that provides ideas and creativity and genius and all of the things that we need, that light that is there, it can do so many things for us when we allow that gleam of light, as Emerson talked about, when we can embrace it, when we can welcome it, when we can understand. We don't make it happen, we make it welcome. When we allow that to permeate our existence, things begin to change. In my own life, I've had experiences of light, and I'm going to the image of light, where I remember years ago when I was little and I wanted to learn how to swim, and I went to the boys club at the time where I lived, and they told us to jump in the pool, and when you jump in the pool, you grab your legs, and you go in the water, and then you release your legs, and once you release your legs, you'll float up to the top. Well, when I jumped in the water and I held my legs, something froze in me and I didn't release my legs, and I found myself spinning around, and I got really frightened and afraid that I was going to drown. And as I was in that water, and as I was moving around, and as I was, in my mind, I was calling my mother and my father and all of that, just really distressed, there was a ray of light that I saw. And then I heard this urging that said, stick your hand up. And I stuck my hand up, and I found the side of the pool. I got out of the pool, and it was years again before I got in the pool. I learned to swim. But that light let me know I wasn't alone. And there was other points in my life that in dangerous times and in good times, I still had a sense of that light. I remember the day that my daughter was born, and the first time I looked in her face, I saw that light. It reminded me again what the scripture reminds us, that God is light, and in God there is no darkness at all. That light. And if you think back on that again, moving to the idea of the Christmas story being about a baby, what richer image can there be than that? Because when you look into the eyes of a newborn baby, in that moment you realize that right now there is endless promise and potential and possibility in this moment. No one knows what this child will be. No one knows what this child will ultimately offer, what they will ultimately express. But it is in that moment, in experiencing that light, we begin to understand the possibility of creation and the promise of potential that is there. You begin to understand that in that moment, what it all means and what it's all about. And today we celebrate that moment where we have that light born in us. We celebrate this moment where we begin to understand just how precious and just how beautiful that we are we begin to understand that even though life may have obscured some of those things about us as we've gone along this journey, it can't ultimately take away from the truth of who we are.
Teach.
I mean, people may say stuff about us, do stuff. We may have done things ourselves. Things may have happened. But the thing of it is, the truth of it is, it can't take away ultimately from who we are. I'm beautiful. I may have a few pounds on me. I may, the hair's gotten gray, a little bit thinner, and all of that. But I'm beautiful. Because I'm God in expression. And God is beauty. And you are beautiful. You are beautiful. And the thing of it is as we gather here every week, rather than beating up on you, talk about how worthless and unworthy you are, we celebrate your beauty. We celebrate your light. We celebrate your essence. We celebrate the truth of who you are. Because the thing of it is that I learned a long time ago, for some people, the only place that they may get that, the only place they may hear that might be right here. I remember for a long time I was at a point where, the hugs and the stuff that I got here at Open Heart, some of the best things that whole week.
Yes, amen.
Amen. But the fact of the matter is that we celebrate your beauty. We embrace the darkness because from darkness, things are birthed. From darkness, things begin to happen. Today is the shortest day of the year. And the solstice, a few hours we acknowledge and celebrate and we understand the changing of the seasons and all of that. But it's about life continuing in its richness, and in its fullness, and in its essence, and in its beauty. And you are beautiful. I can't say that enough for you to hear me, for you to understand me, for you to get where I'm coming from. When I go back to the story about Ernest Holmes and his sharing that story about what happened to him, he talked later on about how as he started the things that he did, that became to teaching, that as he started out, that the goal was to help people. And help people heal, and help people to find their wholeness. And he found himself kind of drifting away from that. And as I read that, I started to think about my own self and our own place here at Open Heart, and the fact that we are about helping one another, and healing one another, and finding wholeness for one another. So as I close, and I know preachers say that as I close and they go on another 30 minutes, but I'm not going to do that to y'all. But as I close, I just want you sincerely this season, whether you celebrate Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever else, solstice, whatever else it is that you celebrate, know your wholeness. Know your light. Know your beauty. Know how powerful and how rich and how awesome you are. And don't let anybody take that from you. Don't let anybody take that from you. Don't let anything, circumstances or situations or appearances take that from you. God is closer than breathing, nearer than hands and feet. Hold space. And with that, you are light.
feel your love. And just know that we're family.
Yes.
Amen. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your hearts be light. From now on, our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. From now on, our troubles will be miles away. Here we are, as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us, travel near to us once more. Through the years, we all will be together. If the fates allow, we'll hang a shining star above the highest bough. And have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Here we are, as in olden days, happy golden days of yours. Faithful friends who are dear to us, travel near to us once more. Through the years, we all will